Hello, everybody. Andrew Blake from the digitalaudiomanual.com. And today we're going to move on to part 2 of our discussion of window handling in Halion 7.5. Every time you add a window with one of our little function arrows, take the one that says split vertically, you can see that you get all of these little icons, and these are what are considered as the editors. Anytime you click on one of these, that takes over the window, and the tab takes on the name of whatever that editor was. In this case, automation. We go back over to the triangle, come down to the option that says select. That brings us right back to where we were, and we could choose a different editor. Now, I'm not going to go through every one of these. We will cover that as we discuss that particular subject, but let's look at a few of them. And that's what I want to encourage you to experiment with. Just click through these so you can become familiar with whatever the layout is of that particular editor. Let's say we go to the browser and click on that. We can see a familiar media bay kind of layout. You go back to the view functions arrow. Instead of hitting select, you can just go to the editor, and instead of icons, you'll get a running list, and you can just click through these. I'll hit the one that says library creator, and you can see you get something like this. As you continue to experiment through these, you can see some of the options available. Here's one that says sample editor. Click on that. And you can see some of these are completely grayed out and remain that way until you begin activating them for whatever their function is going to be. Let's just do a few more. Let's try this one that says sound editor. And you can see you get all these various options. And once again, up on the tab area, you'll get the name of whatever that editor is. As we said before in the previous video, some of these editors also collapse their screens. If you see a plus or a minus sign over here, and you click on that, that'll hide some kind of contents. You can also just double click on any title bars, and that does the same thing. In part 1, we talked about using the screen sets and loading those up here in the upper left area. But there's another button over here, kind of similar, and this allows us to open or save windows. If we click on this option, there's a huge amount of presets, which takes those various editors and different combinations of them and puts them into separate windows. I'll just choose this one that says Macro Page Designer. And I get this floating window, which normally would open up as a tab. And again, it says its name in the upper left. If I close this down, let's choose another one out of the list. Take the Wavetable Editor, and then I get this window. As you go along and begin working with these windows, you may want to move them from being a floating window right back into your main interface. As we pointed out earlier, in each one of these windows, you're going to see these stacked little lines. This means you can drag this window to some different location. So if I take this window, click on that, and then begin dragging it, wherever I drag it, I get a border, and then I can release it at that border, and now it becomes part of my original interface. And if I customize something like that, then I could go back up to my original button we talked about, which is the screen sets, click on that, and at that point, you could save this new screen set, just give it some kind of name. Now that's in our list, and we can get to it as a screen set. If I go back to default, then I'm back to my original one. If you take any of these windows and you choose the option to undock it, it comes out as a separate floating window, but it doesn't remove your original. So if you make any changes to this, but then decide to close it down, you still have the original in place. When you open any of these floating windows, up in the upper right area, you're going to see this little padlock. It allows you to lock these windows. All these windows are in sync with the main Halion interface, and sometimes you need independence, and when you lock those windows, it allows you to make changes between the floating window and Halion's main interface. A typical example of something like that, let's say in the main interface, we add a few of our presets, just hit this plus button, and you get these sounds that are already in Halion. And you'll notice when I click on any of these, the yellow border goes around that particular sound, and the Halion interface changes to match it. If I open up another window similar to this one, I'll put it down here below. You can see that the 3 instruments are the same in both areas, in the floating window and in the main Halion interface. If I click on one of these in Halion, you will see the yellow border also moves on the floating window. If I click this guitar, then the guitar in the floating window gets checked. And this works both ways. If I come down to this bottom sound in the floating window and click on that, then up in the main Halion interface, that bottom window gets selected as well. If I now come over and turn this lock option on in the floating window, You'll notice if I click a different instrument in the floating window, it still changes Halion. If I click on this guitar, and the guitar up on the main Halion interface changes. But now if I click something in Halion, I'm going to hit number 2 here, it no longer changes anything on the floating window. The floating window remains independent and locked to whatever my last choice was. If I come down to the Halion option, click this third instrument, again, the floating window remains locked on the guitar. And this allows you to make some programming changes that are different between these two windows, and sometimes that's a necessary operation. With everything you do, you're going to be setting a focus in the different areas of the interface. If I click in this big area, then this border lights up around it. If I click over in this area, then a border around this area lights up. This lets you know that any key commands you hit or specific things that you may edit are going to affect what's ever in the focus. So you'll be choosing these different areas of focus before you perform certain operations. Back in the upper left, you have the option to start the home screen, which typically starts as soon as you open the program. Down in the lower left of the home screen, if you don't want to see that show up every time you start, you have the option to turn that on or off right here. This home screen is divided into different areas. At the top, you have this option that says play, and this is where you can open up your default screen set or the multi-screen set, various things to get you started quick. Then you have this area called Create, and before we finish this video, we're going to take a quick look at something here. So many of the things that get you right into making a sound are put right here. An analog synth, a wavetable synth, a spectral synth, an FM synth, a sample instrument, a grain synth, and an organ instrument. And you can use these shortcuts to get right to these and begin making some great sounds. And then at the bottom, you have an option for the news or other sounds that may be available and other shortcuts to get you to the Steinberg site. It'll probably be a little while before we do any serious sound creation, but that doesn't stop us from having a quick look at some of the powerful options that we have here. Let's begin by looking at this one. In the Create area, the option for an analog synth. I'm going to click on this. Right away, we have this sound module. And if you've ever done anything, just about any popular synth out there, you will have seen something that resembles this in the way that it shows us 3 separate oscillators and various ways to tune them. You can turn your oscillators on or off, and you can change these oscillators by clicking on this little box, and you have all these various options of what you want to do. Immediately, let's go to the saw wave. Let's change every one of these, and I'm going to turn these 2 off for now. And right away, we have that popular saw sound. We could change the octaves, tuning, or turn on this multi-oscillator, which gives us that option to add more voices and then detune them. And right away, we're off and running to create some fantastic sounds. Let's turn on our second oscillator. We can change the octave on that, turn on the multi, add some more voices, change the detune. Let's add one more in here. And then right away we have these great sounds. Over in this area on the right, a lot of stuff is going to happen as we go along. It kind of spells everything out. But just so you can have a little fun with it all, if you look up here and take any of the areas that say the analog synth and right-click on it, you'll get a context menu and an option that says New. And in that area, you'll be able to find the different effects that are available. Let's just go ahead and find a reverb here. We'll pick Reverence. And with that highlighted up in this area, if we come over to the left, there's a tab that says Sound, and that pretty much reflects whatever is selected over there. And here's where we can change the reverb settings if we want. And immediately we're going to start building some great sounds. And of course, if you create something that you like, come up to the left to the area where you can save the preset, create something and give it a name and say OK, and you can begin your journey of creating your own individual sounds. And that's all we have time for today. We will pick up this discussion next time. But before you go, be sure to click the link in the description of this video so you can get your copy of the digital audio manual. It's your clear path to a better way to learn. Or stop by thedigitalaudio.com for more information. As always, it's great to have you here. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.